A short hike is about creating a space that immerses people in passion to help us deal with stresses we face in the world and foster connections to creativity and one another. In fact, the very reason this game came to be was to reconnect the author to their passion for game development. In a GDC post-mortem of the game, Adam Robinson Yu talked about how he was burnt out on the main project he was working on, Untitled Paper RPG, and wanted to give a little Christmas gift to himself of a smaller passion project to work on where he didn't have to worry about how many copies it would sell or how it would help his career. All he had to focus on was his passion for creating games, and his game is reflective of this very experience.
So when I think back on things, I feel like one of the hardest decisions I had to make on the game was whether or not I was going to make it at all. So about 1 year later, I was knees deep in an ambitious project. It was going to be a large RPG with lots of characters, locations, and battle mechanics. And it felt like the project would take a few more years to finish, and I was starting to get kind of stressed and anxious about it, and I never felt like I was getting enough done. And it felt like I had to finish this project, and it had to do well, because it felt like my kind of one shot. I decided to give myself a little break. As sort of like a Christmas present to myself, I decided to put aside my main project and just work on this tiny little project.
The protagonist, Claire, is worried about her mother's surgery and needs to hike to the top of a mountain for cell service to call her. This is a fear just as real as one's professional future, and throughout her journey, she begins to disconnect from her worries as she becomes immersed in the passion and authenticity of the island's residents and the island itself. I like to think of this experience of slowing down and reveling in creativity as passionate escapism. We often think of escapism with a negative connotation, as engaging in a piece of media to mindlessly escape a reality to somewhere better before being thrust back into the real world. But a short hike is not about completely disconnecting from reality. It's about having a moment to disconnect from the terrifying stresses of our reality that can cloud our appreciation of beauty, and to connect us to passion, love, and creativity, which are equally real parts of life that in our often overworked, goal-driven existence falls to the wayside. Engaging with our passions and hobbies in serious ways is often discredited in our culture as a waste of time that doesn't further your economic prospects, or at the very least, it is discounted in favor of, quote, practical interests. Now, that's not to say we should only ever put effort into activities we show genuine passion for, but connecting to creativity provides a lot of important catharsis and fosters unique skills that can help us understand ourselves and one another in important ways. And this is what a short hike exists to remind us of. It is a piece of media that reflects a creator at their most authentic, and a world that invites you to step away from the stresses of your own life to appreciate every moment of this experience, even if it is just for a short hike. In this video, I want to talk about how this game promotes appreciation of beauty and personal creativity by looking at the authenticity of its characters, the clever construction of the mechanics themselves, and the deep passion that permeates every aspect of this game. As mentioned prior, Claire's mother is going into surgery, so Claire is sent to stay with her Aunt May for a little bit on Hawk Peak Island. The main conflict is that she wants to call her mother to check in on the surgery, but the only location where there is cell service on the island is at the top of Hawk Peak, so the goal of the game is to collect items that help you hike there. The items are gotten through either exploring the island itself or more commonly by engaging with and helping the residents of the island. What's interesting is instead of rushing to collect the items and make her way to the top, Claire learns to slow down and appreciate the journey there, and as she does, she begins to disconnect from her stresses. Claire works well as a protagonist because she is reflective of the headspace the player is likely in, or at the very least the headspace we are all familiar with, as well as the anxieties of Robinson Yu was feeling himself. The island is a physical representation of passionate escapism, and the people on it are all immersed in their hobbies and interests and thoroughly steeped into that mindset, but Claire and the player are not yet. The first area has no music, just the dialogue about her worries and how to directly confront that problem. The game does not reveal that it's her mother she needs to call, but it is obvious that Claire is very anxious about receiving this phone call, and it is her top priority. Thus far, while not overtly adult or serious in tone with all the cutesy pixel art and animal characters, the only dialogue we have seen is anxious in tone on Claire's part, but as soon as you round the first corner and this whimsical inviting music begins, the tone completely changes. This is furthered by the conversational style of the game. When designing the game, Robinson Yu stated that he was worried about the writing as it was not his strongest skill and expected it to be a very minor part of the game, but because he felt a lack of pressure to create a game defining of his legacy and career, he felt free from perfectionism, which allowed a very unique kind of writing to emerge. He said he wanted to make the dialogue very naturalistic, modeling it more off of how he texts and chit-chats rather than typical game dialogue involving paragraphs of exposition, and this comes across strongly.
A bit about the writing. When I started working on this game, I didn't really expect there to be a lot of writing, but I ended up writing a lot for this game. And this was difficult for me because writing is hard, at least for me anyways. So when I started a short hike, I made a few decisions that ended up making the writing process a bit easier. So for one, I tried to write more natural conversations. Instead of using these big text boxes with kind of a long monologue, I would use small bubbles without really any punctuation. This actually kind of felt more like the way that I would write when I'm texting people.
The tone of the conversations is one aspect that really drew me into this world. The conversations are very cute, witty, and positive, but they stay grounded in reality in uncanny ways that help it feel more authentic rather than saccharine. I think a great example is the shovel kid on the beach. There's this little frog who has a giant metal shovel you need to dig up money around the island, and they will trade it to you for a smaller toy shovel designed for building sandcastles. The conversation there is cute and nice, but if you come back later, they have made a whole sand city. My sandcastle is now part of a sand city. And also, I'm running in a hotly contested election for mayor. Oh, hold on. The election results are just coming in. Okay. I'm tallying them up. 3rd place? What? I built this city. Sorry about the loss. It was a tough race, but it's okay. I managed to secure a seat on the city council. It's fucking dumb, oh my god. I really love this frog kid. It's such a specific and somewhat adult joke coming from this cute little dude. Like, they're a kid. You'd expect them to be the emperor of their made-up sand land, but nah. This kid imagines a full system of government that decided they would be better served as a rather middling position of public office, and that was the most fun for them. In the final phase, the sand city has evolved into a sand province, and the frog is running for premier in the provincial elections. Whoa! The city has really been growing, huh? This isn't a sand city anymore. This is a sand province. This time, I'm running for premier in the provincial elections. Sure, I wasn't elected as mayor, but this time, I'm really doubling down on outreach. And I'm promoting policies I really think will resonate with my key districts. Once I'm elected, I'll be able to use my provincial influence to finally exert control over the city that shunned me. That was a very good evil laugh, I'm sorry. Whoa! The first legislation I'll pass will exist to consolidate my allies in Parliament. The second legislation, free candy for all. That was a little better. This is what I mean when I say it's somewhat uncanny. Like, what kind of kid in their imaginary play world thinks about their campaign for premier and provincial elections down to the specific policies that will resonate with their key districts? Like, look at this cute cartoon fox. Hey Claire, how's the day treating you? Well, I'm just getting out of the house now. It's one of those kinds of days. Yeah, I've been kinda caught up in my head all morning. Would you say you feel lost and directionless? Maybe. Well, I've got just the thing for you. Take this. To use it, press space to open your inventory, then select it from the items menu. Oh, thanks. This should come in handy. Happy hiking. Like, I wouldn't expect him to use my existential dread as a segue into the compass game mechanic, which completely undermines the dread with a humorous moment, and I couldn't help but chuckle at it. Also, real quick on my shittier mic, that guy's not a fox. Like, I'm realizing that animal was not a fox. It was a wolf of some sort. I don't know. It reminds me of how in the GameCube Animal Crossing, all the villagers can be super rude to you. YouTuber Voyan has a great retrospective on the whole game, and actually the whole Animal Crossing series. I would definitely recommend checking it all out. But he talks further in depth about the charm of the rude villagers.
They are insulting, pompous, rude, sarcastic. They overreact to small things and proceed to call you fat. They get angry if you don't accept their offers and call you poor. They will move without any warning in advance, and they will straight up rob you. Yes, straight up rob you.
You just don't expect these cutesy little characters to act in this way, and it makes engaging with them super fun, though A Short Hike's characters aren't quite as mean as Animal Crossing characters.
You're ugly, you're disgusting, I'm gonna kill you, give me $200.
The frog is also enticing by the simple virtue of how invested they are in their project/creation, and that is something which permeates the whole game. All the characters you meet have their own goals and dreams, and by taking a moment to be present with these people, Claire is able to foster connections to the townspeople and their interests, helping her escape from worry and become immersed into the passions of this community. Another very clever part of the characters is they are not only interesting, but almost all of them are tied into game mechanics in one way or another. Before I move on, I want to take a second to define extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation, specifically under the lens of game design. Extrinsic motivation is when the players have outward reasoning to pursue a goal, like an increase in stats. Maybe in an RPG you were told there was a cool weapon at the end of a dungeon and you want to get that weapon for better damage, giving you extrinsic motivation to do that quest. Intrinsic motivation is an inward motivation to accomplish or explore that doesn't necessarily better your character in any way. Maybe in the same RPG, you become really invested in the story, so you walk around to all the characters asking them every question you can about the conflict or their lives and opinions. Your character doesn't get any stronger or change at all really, but you want to do it because the game has immersed you enough to take a strong interest in the world. Both are very important to game design, but extrinsic is much easier to accomplish than intrinsic. Getting better damage and numbers inherently affects the core gameplay loop of most games, while intrinsic doesn't have the same tangible benefit, so it takes more work to get the player invested in that way. Simple example, I've played Skyrim a million times at this point, and I've never really been all that interested in the lore or story. Mostly just want to get better at killing bad guys and bank up money until I get bored around, I don't know, level 40 because I've gotten dragon gear and shit. Fallout New Vegas, on the other hand, drew me in deeply, and I had a lot of intrinsic motivation to talk with all the NPCs to understand their politics and lives, and most importantly to see if they were MTR apologist losers.
We're with the government, for goodness sake. Have a little faith in us.
One of the coolest things about a short hike is it blends these two together so seamlessly. What starts as extrinsic motivation turns into intrinsic very quickly. A major aspect of the gameplay loop is golden feathers. Every one you collect allows you to jump higher or climb higher, opening up new paths to the hike. They're kind of like a stamina bar, and you need at least 7 to beat the game. I mean, that's what the game tells me. I'm sure there's ways to exploit it, to do it with less. I haven't seen a speedrun or anything, but 7's a good number to, base off right now. To get these, you need to explore the map and help out characters, but as you do so, you start becoming less concerned with the extrinsic worry of if a given character will provide a golden feather or a new mechanic, and you become more concerned with the intrinsic curiosity of who they are, what they're doing here, and are motivated to just become a part of the world. Right next to the Frog Kid is the Rock Climbers Club, where you meet a rhino named Alex and a squirrel named Tim. Climbing is an integral part of the game. There are roadblocks set up to make sure the character has the needed golden feathers to climb before they can enter the next area, so having these two here serves a practical purpose in teaching you about the climbing mechanic, and if you don't have a golden feather, they guide you towards the visitor center where you can buy one off a little goat guy. A fun little thing as well is if you don't have enough money to buy one, you can go back, and Alex the Rhino will provide you with enough coins to go and get your first golden feather. This shows the player there's extrinsic reasoning to speaking with the characters. They can give you new info, guide you to new locations, or teach new mechanics, but the charm of the game comes from how the extrinsic reasoning is second to the intrinsic drive that is fostered from these interactions to meet all these funny, authentic, and passionate characters who share this space with you. Alex invites you to join their club, and Claire asks if it's just the two of them. Why not join our rock climbing club? Oh, is it just the two of you? Hey! The Rock Climbers Association has hundreds of members spanning over 35 countries worldwide. Hundreds of members growing and refining the art of rock climbing, pushing the craft to its absolute limit and beyond. I meant, is it just the two of you, like, here? What of it? Tim shows this intense anger at you for daring to question the legitimacy of the Climbers Club, which is funny on its own, but also shows a deep level of passion for their sport, as well as a bit of insecurity in their own ability. Later, you actually see Tim stuck on a climb, showing their insecurity is based in reality. Oh hey, it seems like you've really gotten the hang of climbing. Yeah. Hey, I think I'm stuck. Tim, it's too high. What have I done? I can't do this. Tim, take a deep breath. Try and remain calm. You're doing great. And you know you can handle this. Can't I? What am I doing? Just focus on the next step. You've got this. I've got this? I've got this. This might take a while. We'll catch up with you later. I'll make sure he's okay. I think there's a cute message in Tim's belligerence and pride. We often gatekeep identifying ourselves by our passions based on the level of proficiency we have for those passions. For example, I have always considered myself a writer even before I went to college to study English. Even in college, I was never published in any major academic journals, and I've never written a novel or anything. I mean, this little YouTube channel is probably the closest I've come to getting any real recognition for any of my writing, but a lot of people would say that means I'm not a real writer, but that's not what identifying with our passions is about. Tim is not a professional. They can't climb to the top of Hawk Peak, which apparently even old-ass Aunt May can manage, but Tim does feel a sense of pride and connection to their sport. They have found a community in this activity with Alex and the, in the hundreds worldwide. Alright. Anyway, even though Tim does feel an insecure need to assert their belonging to this community by inflating how many people are a part of it or inflating their own skill level, it shows an earnestness and pride that inspires us. If Tim can identify as a rock climber, why can I not identify as a writer and embrace the belonging and sense of meaning that identity grants me? There's a similar moment later between Sue the rabbit and Taylor the turtle. There's a big marathon happening that day on Hawk Peak Island, but Sue can't run without her lucky red headband. Further up the road, you find out Taylor the turtle has a red headband on, which isn't the one Sue was referring to, but when Taylor learns it's for Sue, they happily give up their headband out of admiration for her. Oh, weird question, but where'd you get that headband? I don't know. I've had it for ages. Why? Ah, well, I was just talking to this rabbit. She said she lost her headband somewhere in the forest. Oh, you mean Sue? Maybe? I didn't get her name. She was really worried about it, though. She said it was lucky and she needs it to race. I'm supposed to race her later today. She's so talented. I've been really looking forward to it. What if I gave you mine? I'm pretty sure it's the same kind. Maybe she wouldn't notice. Oh, But then it wouldn't be lucky. I don't know. Just take it. See if she wants it. That was such a terrible shot. It was behind the trees. You couldn't see the turtle at all. Oh my god. When you give the new headband to Sue and mention who it's from, she gets excited because she also admires Taylor and thinks this headband has to be super lucky now, even luckier than the last one. Any luck finding my headband yet? Well, I found this. That's not it. The sweat stains aren't in the right place. Ew. Where did you find this? Actually, the turtle gave it to me. They said you could have it? They're looking forward to the race and didn't want you to miss it. What? Really? Taylor the turtle. They're like the regional champion. This headband has to be like at least twice as lucky. Possibly even quadruple lucky. Okay, I'll take it. I'm so pumped. Take these running shoes. You can hold C to run with them. However, just keep in mind that running requires golden feathers. I love this moment because it shows another example of connections being born from passions. When we think of a character whose story revolves around a race, we imagine a story about overcoming great odds to end up being the best. Maybe there's some rival elite team who are mean and our protagonist gets this underdog victory to show the other team their place. But for these two, the need to win is secondary to fostering a connection in this community they both love. That's not to say competition or wanting to win is inherently bad, but it should always be in good spirit. I used to run cross country myself, and I did want to be better than my teammates, but I was never angry at them when they surpassed me and achieved their own goals. We loved the sport and we loved each other. We always celebrated one another's achievements, and I see a lot of that experience here with Sue and Taylor. There is also another short bit of dialogue about Sue's insecurities as a runner. So do you really think it's luck? Well, I don't know. I've gotten this far, and it's just me. Like, it's gotta be luck. Well, maybe a little, but you're so fast, and you've trained so much. You got this far 'cause you're good. Aw. Yeah, I know. I think I've known all along, but I don't know. I get so nervous. Sometimes I wonder if this is all just a fluke. But you're right. I don't need luck. Here, you can have the headband back. I'm gonna do this all on my own. Whoa, thanks. Good luck in the race. You've got this. Just like Tim, she feels insecure in her identity as a runner, though she is more transparent about this than Tim is. But with the support from Claire and the inspiration she got from knowing Taylor the Turtle admires her as well, she reflects on her own work and feels proud to be a runner and confident in that identity. The passions and connections she has made through her interests bettered her own sense of worth, and when you talk to her again, she is locked into preparing for the race. Sorry, I can't chat right now. I've got to prepare mentally and physically for the race. See ya. In return for your help, Sue gives you running shoes, which helps you on your journey as well, particularly against Avery, who forgot to sign up for the marathon but offers to parkour race with you. Again, the game has tied important mechanics that help Claire achieve her goals by slowing down and becoming immersed in others' passions. I love these character moments. You can actively see Claire and yourself become more invested in the people and this lifestyle, and what's really cool is there are moments where Claire struggles to slow down and become immersed with people. She's from the busy city, and this is used as a representation of a busy mindset with her and the wandering artist, who we'll discuss a little bit later. It is a culture shock to her that this community's worries are about their hobbies and passions, and it takes time for her to understand the passionate escapist headspace. This really comes across when you meet the fisherman. Is fishing hard? Nope. It's easy. I can show you if you'd like. Yeah, Here, I'll lend you my spare rod. Cast your line. It's pretty easy. Just press X. I love how the music fades into the background to make you present in this moment, disconnected from your anxious thoughts. Claire really struggles with this. So, what do I do now? You wait. Oh, okay. Am I doing this right? Yup. This interaction presents a worldview where we need to focus on what we can control, not what we can't. Maybe I should cast it again? You know? Find a better spot? The spot is good. Saw some fish around here earlier. That's a good sign. Sometimes you just gotta wait. Patience is key. Not my strong suit. We can't control when a fish is going to bite the line. We can't control if our artistic works are going to be legacy-defining smash hits. We can't control the health of our loved ones all the time. But worrying to an extreme degree over things we can't control won't help the matter at all. In fact, as Robinson Yu saw with his main project, these worries can actually hinder our goals. What do I do? Press X to reel it in. You caught a fish. See? Easy as pie. I don't know if I'd say that. I suck at baking. I guess I mean easy as eating pie. I can get behind that. What we can do is be present. Focus on what we are trying to do in the moment. Focus on the how more than the what. And again, this moment ties in an extrinsic motivation as well. After this interaction, you unlock the fishing rod, and you can trade in your caught fish for a little bit of extra money. The money can be used to purchase some golden feathers, or, get a cool hat. But after you trade in 3 fish, you unlock the fishing journal. This shows you all the fish there are to catch on the island, and recontextualizes the island again. Now, if you're enticed, you can go back to places you've missed and have extrinsic reasoning to further explore the island. Outside of Claire, there is one other character who struggles getting into the passionate escapism mindset, the Painting Kid. Well, fandom says his name is the Painting Kid, but I saw someone refer to him as the Wandering Artist, and I called him that earlier, and I like that a lot better, so I'm going to call him that from now on. You can first find him a little south of the Visitor Center towards the beginning of the game. He is trying to make a landscape painting, but can't seem to quite get it right, so he moves around the map to different spots looking for the perfect inspiration, and at each new location, you learn a little bit more about why he is making these collections of paintings to begin with. You found out he was invited by the Ian Artsworth to showcase his work in the big city. This is a potential breakthrough moment for him, but he can't seem to get it quite right. All of his paintings are too simple. He wants people to resonate and feel something through his work, and he wants to paint something revolutionary. The harder he tries, the less he seems to be able to produce. The third conversation you have with him is very telling. This painting isn't working. What? I like it. Thanks. This Parker's special to me, but I don't think I'm gonna impress anyone with these. Hey, I'm impressed. I mean, like, leave an impression on anyone. I have to show people that I'm achieving something worthwhile. Like, academically. He puts his motivations very plainly. He is creating to impress the academic world. What matters to him is that other, quote, real artists appreciate his work and validate that he is a real artist as well. In the third scene, we see how he is afraid to be rejected by this community with comical anxiety. Are you painting in the rain? Yup. Is that possible? I'm trying. I don't have a lot of time. The exhibition is next week. Oh, okay. Nothing has been working so far. I finally got invited to show my work in the city, but everyone there is doing amazing contemporary work. I don't know if I can keep up, but your stuff is beautiful. You know who is curating the event? Ian Artsworth. Famous contemporary artist, Ian Artsworth. He personally invited me to participate. And I'm going to show up with my boring landscapes, and he's going to take one look at them and whisper, "This fails to resonate with me," and probably karate chop them in half. What? He won't do that. He could. He's also a black belt, so it's definitely possible. And his real motivations are plainly shown in the follow-up conversation. Why don't you take a break? You've already done so much today. I can't. I need to show people that I'm worth something. I mean, my art is worth something. In the fourth scene, Claire takes the lead more. She underscores how every painting he has made has been excellent. This one included. Whoa! This is really good. I love it. Oh, hey. I like it too, but I can't use this. Outlook Point has been painted to death. Has it?
You've got such a cool style. Thanks, but it's just a landscape painting. This isn't bringing anything new to the table. I want people to feel something when they look at my work. But I feel something. When I look at it, it makes me happy. If I had that on my wall, I'd look at it every day. And it would make every day better. Really? Yes. I live out in the city. I love the city, but it's got none of this. You were invited to the show, right? They invited you because they know your work is good. I'm sure they want to see this too. I don't know. I need to think about this. We're going to find something new to paint. Maybe I should head back to where I started.
You can tell he is really touched by Claire's kind words, but is still hesitant to accept praise from someone who he doesn't see as a real artist. In the final scene, we see him painting Ranger John back at the visitor center, where he has settled to draw what he is passionate about, and that happens to be the park itself.
Is Ranger John going to be in this painting? Yep. He agreed to be in this one, because he's the best. Aw, you're going to make me blush. It's okay. I can paint the not blushing version, if you want. Whoa, this is looking really good. I think I'm just going to paint the things I want to paint, instead of painting the things I think other people want me to paint. At the very least, it's making things easier. And, you want to paint me? Well, you're a part of the park too. I just want to capture all aspects of the park. That sounds cool. Oh, also, on my way down from this mountain, I found this. John told me you were collecting them, so I thought you should have it. I'm still not so sure what I'll put in the exhibit, but I don't feel as worried about it. I think you should put it all in. Yeah? Even the watered down rainy painting? Yeah. It's all part of the experience. Plus, it looked pretty cool. You know, that's not a bad idea.
I think this might be my favorite interaction in the game, and it works really well for a few reasons. I love that he physically returns right where he started. There's nothing wrong with his ability or the setting, but rather his mindset in approaching the act of painting itself was what was holding him back. I also love that he concludes his painting series will showcase the beauty of the island. The beauty of the island allowed Claire to disconnect from her anxieties, just as it has affected the artist here. We see a role reversal here. Instead of the islanders easing Claire into the passionate escapist mindset, she is now the one helping another outsider of the island lean into their own passions and creativity. It is very clever how to get all of his interactions, you have to go through basically the entire map, even near the top of Hawk Peak. As I mentioned earlier, at the beginning, neither Claire nor the player are in the passionate escapist headspace, but by the latter parts of the journey, after Claire has explored most of the mountain and taken time to sit with the fishermen and appreciate the culture and beauty of the island, it makes sense that by the end she has adopted this mindset and has the ability to help others adopt it as well. There's also no other character with closer parallels to Robinson Yu himself. I mean, outside of maybe Claire, Robinson Yu was also working on a project with the hopes of getting game reviewers and others with credibility in his industry to approve of his work to launch his career. He was worried about what others wanted to see him create more than what he wanted to create himself, and that stifled his work, just as the wandering artist's work was stifled by his paralyzing fear of getting Ian Artsworth's approval. I've touched on it over and over, but I love how Robinson Yu was able to use his own experience as direct influence for this game's themes. It's so clever how the very thing that was stopping him from working was the inspiration for his most successful work. Well, most successful so far, at least. And of course, at the end of the Wandering Artist long quest, the player is rewarded with yet another golden feather to tie in that extrinsic motivation once again. The ability to thread all of your game mechanics together in such a way that they directly feed into the central narrative theme of the game is a trick very few games have ever been able to pull off, and it rewards the player for every step they take, never having any fear of wasting your time on excess mechanics or characters that you simply don't care about or serve no real purpose. Every character you interact with further distances you and Claire from the worries of the surgery, whilst almost paradoxically, every character you interact with introduces game mechanics that help Claire achieve her goal to check in on her mother and get back to discussing her surgery. By helping the townspeople, Claire is getting further disconnected from her worries about the main conflict of the game and further connected to the passions of the island, and this is what enables Claire to overcome the conflict of the game. It wasn't by ruminating on it or beelining to the top. In fact, she physically cannot get to the top without the golden feathers from her friends. The only way Claire can overcome her worry and check in on her mother is by distancing herself from thinking about it and being present with authentic people, creating authentic connections. It seems counterintuitive to achieve our goals by taking a break from pursuing them or by pursuing others' goals, but that's the whole message of the game. Of course, hard work and dedication is important in pursuing any goal, creative or otherwise, But when you lack passion for that work and are stuck in a headspace of deadlines and pressure, rather than a headspace where the work smoothly flows from the passion for your project, it can seriously limit your abilities and your well-being. Like the wandering artist said, at the very least, it's making things easier. I think the sentiment is perfectly summed up by the final moment, when you make it up to Hawk Peak and Claire just sits to bask in the beauty of the island and the journey that got her there. She doesn't rush to call her mom. In fact, she completely forgot about the phone call and surgery. She just wants to appreciate this place that has created a space for her to connect to beauty, community, and passion. After sitting in silence for a few moments, Claire's mother calls her with the good news that everything is alright.
Cell phone reception! Hello? Hi, Claire. Mom! I'm so glad to hear from you. I've been waiting all day to hear from you. I've been worried. Aw, honey. I told you I'd be fine. Yeah, but you always say that, and I always am. Anyway, how have you been? Well, I'm at the top of Hawk Peak right now. Ooh, wow! I love it up there. May and I used to go up every summer together. It's about time you made it up. Yeah, I know. You're so big now. My little girl's leaving the nest. You won't have any need for little old mom. But I do need you. I'll never not need you. When I heard about the surgery, how come you never told me this was a thing? I didn't want you to worry, but I know you can get worked up about things. I could have been there for you. You're all alone there now. Really, it was nothing. Everything was fine. I'm just glad you're okay. I love you, Mom. I love you too.
At some point to Claire, her goal stopped being to call her mother and became simply to enjoy the hike. This is just like Robinson Yu himself. His conflict was to create a successful video game, and the more he was connected to the stresses and worries of this goal, the harder it became to achieve. Leaning into his worries and trying to beeline to the end of his project is not what helped him overcome this conflict. He could only overcome it when he took a minute to become immersed in his passion for game development and create a game that was representative of his journey into this passion. This little project was just supposed to be a goofy escape from his quote real work, but became the very smash hit he was looking for all along, and it is all because of what he wanted to accomplish through passionate escapism. And I thank him for creating an entire world dedicated to promoting creativity. It was an experience that was really important to me on a personal level. We've talked a lot about parallels between the creator and the characters, but the main person we have left out of the conversation so far is the parallels between the player and the characters, which in this case is me. When I first found the game, I was in the middle of a depressive episode. I've struggled with depression for almost as long as I can remember. It comes and goes in waves, but it's never really that far from my mind. When I'm stuck in a deep depression, it's not simply a horrible sadness, it's a terrifying void of emptiness. Everything I feel in those times is bad, so I learned to defend myself by refusing to feel at all. No sadness, no anger, no happiness, no love, no joy, and above all, no passion. My drive to create and appreciate art, two of my very reasons for being, I completely lose touch with, and it's terrifying. It's hard to recognize when it happens, because one of the cruelest tricks of depression is you become convinced life has always been this way. You can't even connect to the memories of anything else, and it makes you believe this is how it always will be in the future. But when I finally do recognize I have been trapped in what Murakami calls that place that is no place, I try to reignite my spark by connecting to others' artworks, especially games, because it is the medium I feel safest and happiest in. I remember staring at my laptop, watching the minutes slowly tick by until I couldn't handle it and had to find a new game to love and feel something. And I remember hearing how A Short Hike was the big indie smash hit from the previous year and decided to give it a go. Experiencing this game gave my night a complete 180. I vividly remember how immersed and happy I was in this world and the inspiration I gained from learning it was a single developer and one musician with a little bit of help from others here and there. After I got to Hawk Peak and flew down, my roommate came home and asked me about the game, and we sat there playing for the rest of the night, scouring the island for golden feathers and trying to raise enough money to pay for the kid at the top of the mountain's tuition. It was a really special memory, where my sadness was channeled into amazement and inspiration at this game, and I got a warm nostalgic feeling playing a game with my best friend. It was like we were back again pulling an all-nighter trying to beat Halo ODST. Stories like A Short Hike and its creation help inspire small-time creators to step up. It's a game that resonated deeply with people, and I found it at a moment I desperately needed to regain my appreciation of beauty. Great works of art don't only tell us about the subject matter and theme, but they give us a window into the creator themselves. After playing his game and living in his world, I feel a kinship with Adam Robinson Yu now. He showed us all a part of himself and his relationship to creation, and from that little window, I was able to see my own struggles and appreciations reflected. I felt seen by this game. Seeing stories of small-time game devs and content creators finding success and an audience like this are a large reason why I wanted to start YouTube at all. We have so many barriers to entry for creating any artistic endeavor, and just like Tim the Rock Climber, we are often insecure in our identity as creators when we have not made it big. But seeing works like this, your short hikes or Stardew Valleys or Valheims or Dredges, these games that exude quality and passion while lacking the prestige and resources of the big names, makes me feel better about the idea of creating something of my own. Of course, artwork's value is not measured by its mainstream success. Some of our most important creations are only seen by ourselves. But to know how artwork can deeply change or support someone and create that connection is something truly special. It's not at all easy, and it takes a lot of time and practice. I am still in the very early days of my own YouTube channel, and while my first video did far better than I expected, I am still a ways away from being considered a serious channel or anything. But I feel incredibly grateful that I have an outlet for my passionate escapism, and I feel incredibly reassured by how many other pieces of work and other small-time creators are connecting with people all over the world. Well, that's pretty much all that I wanted to talk about today in this video. There's a lot more to analyze and enjoy in this game than what I've covered here, but I think I'll leave it up to y'all to go and discover it for yourselves. One thing I definitely do want to mention is the soundtrack by Mark Sparling is absolutely incredible. I wish I understood music a little bit more of a thematic level to be able to analyze it better, but luckily there is a great video by YouTuber Scruffy interviewing Sparling about the music in the game and specifically how the music changes based on your location on the map and what this communicates to the player. I'll definitely link that one down below, as well as the GDC retrospective and all the other videos I have clipped here. Thank you to GDC, Voyan, and HBomberGuy for the clips of theirs that I've cited here. Please check all of them out, but especially check out the GDC retrospective. Hearing about the creation of the game from the creator was what really inspired me to make this video, and it's incredibly interesting, and he goes into so much more detail about a lot of things that I did not cover here, so if you have any interest in a short hike, I would definitely check that video out. Honestly, I've been thinking about making a video on this topic for over 4 years now. I even found my old script while I was making this, and I'm really proud of how far I've come in my writing since that point, and I'm proud of what I've made here. I'm hoping to continue to grow as a creator and lean into my own passions, and I thank y'all for allowing me the space to get vulnerable with you and talk about a lot of very personal things, and I hope that everybody will lead with grace when we're discussing it. Thank you again for coming out to the video, and I'm looking forward to seeing y'all at the next one.